This video is going to be my delayed reaction to the Lions' 20-16 loss to the Bucs at home in Week 2. I would consider this an incomplete review or reaction to the game up front. I did watch the condensed version 2 times through, taking some notes, but I was not able to do the extensive game charting, down distance personnel that I normally am able to accomplish. So take that in mind as you decide how long to watch or listen here. Tough loss from what I have seen. Credit to the Bucs for real for playing a physical, tough brand of defense. They were collisioning receivers. 2 situations where I feel like they certainly hit Goff either a little bit late or what is now oftentimes called unnecessary roughness on the quarterback. But a physical brand of defense that they brought to Detroit today. So credit to them. And they were missing Cansey. I think Vita Vea went out at one point, missing the safety Winfield as well. But the remaining safeties played quite well. Baker Mayfield, also have to give credit to him. He made some difficult plays in the face of pressure and adversity. I mean, the touchdown run on the empty quarterback draw, I did not expect that at all. So that was a unique call for Baker Mayfield being on the field. The play before that, the scramble for the first down on a 3rd and 4, that was just tough. That was just pure guts. He actually led the Bucs in rushing today, which is kind of crazy. He won a game in the NFL on the road while only completing 12 passes. Granted, 7 of them were to Godwin, who had a big day. I thought he might be a factor, and it turns out he did. It's a tough loss for Detroit at this point. When you look at the game flow, there are large stretches where the Bucs offense just does nothing. It's kind of like, how do you produce 145 yards of passing offense? And that's Baker Mayfield's actual completions minus the lost yards for sacks. Of course, Aiden Hutchinson had 4.5. Tampa Bay also only had 70 rushing yards on 23 carries, but still get a win on the road. Well, there's multiple factors, multiple ways or pathways to getting that done. I guess on the first possession, you have Terrion Arnold with the big DPI. And the Bucs are able to get a field goal out of that. I thought that was a soft call, to be honest with you. And then the interception by Goff on the first throw of the game, first play of the game. And the Bucs are out to a 6-0 lead and had a short field on that one. So that DPI doesn't count in terms of passing yards or rushing yards. So kind of that differential in total yards can be explained away in that regard. One thing that shined through watching the game through twice in the condensed version, like I said, of course, the Lions outgained Tampa Bay, produced 5 sacks, and still figured out a way to win or to lose at home. How? Well, the Bucs had 10 quarterback hits, which is kind of an amazing number, especially because they had 0 sacks, to my knowledge. But along with that, Tampa Bay had 9 passes. They're credited with 9 passes defensed. They were closing down on routes incredibly fast. And I thought that dynamic existed as well in the Rams game. So maybe there's something to be said about what coverages teams are playing, how they're reacting to the routes, how they're reacting to Goff, maybe looking in particular directions. So there's multiple factors at play or issues, obviously, with the offense not looking as smooth, not looking as powerful at times, in my opinion, out of sync, mistiming, whatever you want to call it. Have to address the missed opportunity at the end of the second quarter. I mean, it sounds like to me Dan Campbell has described it as his fault, which I would agree with. I mean, you're the head coach and you're responsible for it. There's no reason to send on players when you're out of timeouts and the clock is less than 10 seconds left, even less than like 16, whatever your number is, whatever you think you can get people on the field if you're trying to do that. If it was 4th down and you're trying to send guys on to kick, you got to do it awful fast. It's not possible with less than 10 seconds left, number one. Number two, it's 3rd down. Now, I didn't see who was coming on the field. So the announcers, I think it was Mark Schlereth, but I could be wrong who it was. They said it was the field goal unit. I seriously doubt that. I can't imagine why you would send the field goal unit on 3rd down when you could clearly spike the football, but I don't know what Campbell's explanation was. Haven't been able to watch the press conference at all. Like I said, watched the Ravens game, did a reaction video there, watched the Lions condensed game 2 times through, tried to make some notes for you guys to get out a video this evening. I do want to talk about a couple of things. When I say credit to the Bucs defense, let's talk about the first interception of the game, Goff's first throw. There's an inside linebacker who collisions Jamison Williams. Compare that to the early DPI on Arnold. I thought, now, this sounds like I'm in complaint mode already. I mean, the NFL's got to be a little consistent here. Jameson Williams, I think, is like 9 or 10 yards downfield, and an inside linebacker just absolutely collisions him. Now, if you can make it look like you're just getting in your pass drop and you're not doing it intentional, hey, I'm an advocate for that. I like physical defense, but that's an interesting comparison, if you ask me, between those two plays. And I don't know the specifics of Terrion Arnold's DPI necessarily, other than the one time I saw it live. But in any case, those two situations helped the Bucs get out to a 6-0 lead. I think 6 minutes in fact. Detroit's offense ragged at that point, however you want to describe it. I definitely look at this game similar. Maybe this is projection on my part. Very similar to the Ravens' loss to the Raiders on Sunday, which I watched live. Both teams left points on the field. Goff's second interception, the one late, I think it's like 8 minutes left in the game, to Jameson Williams. Really unusual to see him throw the football and the receiver be breaking in the other direction. So I haven't heard the explanation for that, to be honest with you. I'm sure at this point you guys have. But Detroit's offense finished the game down there inside the red zone, or near the red zone, I should say, 3 times. There's no way to feel good about a loss, not with this roster, not with the amount of talent that's here and the expectations for Detroit in 2024. But having said that, you could very easily be 2-0 at this point on a day when you did not play your best. I do think the Bucs deserve credit for their style of play, for playing near to their ceiling. I don't think that Bucs team can come in and run the ball on any version of this Lions defense, and that was proven true today. Baker Mayfield showed some real leadership, I think, toughness, to go down there after Detroit took the lead 16-13 in the third quarter and then flip the switch and go back, take the lead 20-16 with the scramble and then the empty quarterback draw. It was surprising to see, like I said. I just, even while I didn't watch it live, obviously, it should be obvious to you, but as it happened, I had to pause it and just sit back and just go, wow. They just called it empty quarterback draw for Baker Mayfield. So there might have been something that they've seen on film about how Detroit lines up against empty formations. I don't know that to be true at all, but that's just a thought that I had while watching it. So you, as a Lions fan, should not take any consolation in the loss, other than the fact that you're down there, like I said, 3 times at the end of the game. First of all, I love watching the Lions play because the passion and the speed and tenacity that they play with. I thought today it was more so there today, particularly on the defensive side. I didn't think so against the Rams. I thought that there was less physicality. I thought they played with less force, and that's a very generic term. But today I thought the Bucs matched that force, and so I give credit to the Bucs for that. It's fun for me to try to watch you guys' team, but I have to say something about Baker Mayfield, and that's why I prefaced that. He was kind of like a forgotten dude at some point. Left from Cleveland, ostracized, whatever you want to call it, forgotten about in LA with the Rams, I think 2022. And then he used that time period to parlay that into a contract or opportunity with the Bucs. Makes the playoffs last year. Now he's off to an amazing start. They're 2-0. He's got 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. Like I said, just a unique event. I guess there's other reclamation stories, if you want to call them. Geno Smith will be a possible comparison point. I'm not sure Jared Goff necessarily applies because he did make a Super Bowl, and the early output or performances of Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield just do not equal what Jared Goff was able to do in LA. But nonetheless, there are some positives, and so the first video that I'll do this week will obviously be about Aiden Hutchinson. 4.5 sacks. I thought he was tremendous. He's been great so far. Mayfield was wary of that matchup at right tackle. Multiple times they did not chip him late in the game, and the announcer said it and covered it extremely well, and I agree. Like, what are you doing? You know you're going to lose this matchup. St. Brown rebounds, 11 catches for 119, no touchdowns. He left the game in the fourth quarter. I don't think he's on the field the last 2 trips down there, one of which is in the red zone, one of which is not. I think they got to the 11 and the 26 on the last 2 drives. But I think he is on the drive when they take a 16-13 lead because he almost scored. I think he's the guy who caught the ball and got down to the 2 or the 1. I'll talk about that drive in a moment. Jahmyr Gibbs produced 100 offensive yards overall, 84 yards on the ground. He had 7 catches, but not for many yards. There's a disappointing stretch there late in the fourth quarter where he's kind of force-fed the ball to the left side, and I'll talk about that I feel like Ben Johnson maybe looks back on some of those play calls and doesn't like them. I'm going to tell you a guy who I thought played really well and deserves credit is Derek Barnes. I would presume he was playing over there in place of Marcus Davenport. James Houston IV, I guess he's injured. I didn't see him on the field at all. Maybe he was out there, but I didn't see it. Whoever else was spoke, Josh Pascal was on at right defensive end, outside linebacker a few times, but Barnes was there. He added a lot, if you ask me. Had a brilliant pass defense inside the last minute of the game when the Bucs, I almost said the Browns because Baker Mayfield's playing quarterback. When the Bucs decided to throw the ball on a third down, like a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, it's kind of a surprising decision. It allowed Detroit to retain their last time out. But that play is not just a brilliant play, but potentially game-changing because he swats the ball up in the air, and it's in the air a long time. Now, he turns around because he knows it's up in the air. No one else is around because everyone's responding to the run look by the offensive line, the running back, and then the little, I think, fake toss action by Baker Mayfield. But potentially an amazing turnaround play there by Derek Barnes if he's able to catch that interception, which he didn't come close to, but the ball's in the air a long time. I think he deserves credit. I think that the Lions coaching staff may have stumbled upon something there, meaning if Davenport's out for a while and Houston IV can't give you anything, then you've got an opportunity to use a guy over there who's athletic and who can drop out in the pass plays and get in the windows for coverage. Let's talk about the 7th possession a little bit. You're down 13-9, 12-play, 68-yard drive, converted 3 third downs on the drive. The first one was a 3rd and 10, completion underneath, I think near the right hash to Jamison Williams against the zone. Jahmyr Gibbs with a big run off the right side. I thought he looked really... There seemed to be more horizontal runs this year. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's an incorrect inference or observation. Feel free to let me know. But Gibbs is used on a lot of these horizontal runs. Montgomery was once or twice today as well. Gibbs broke a tackle on another run, a 2nd and 4. Got inside the 35. Short completion to Tim Patrick, left side. And then Gibbs, another horizontal run. There was a penalty assessed as well. A 3rd and 5 completion to Laporta, who's been quiet through 2 weeks. I think that's obvious. But there was a lot of contact there, and he made the catch. Whitehead, the safety for Tampa Bay, was hanging around the line of scrimmage oftentimes on blitzes on the back side of those delayed run concepts. So I'd like to take a look at some of those delayed run concepts from under center that the Lions are doing and why the Bucs were able to pick up on that and then basically track it down from behind. 2nd and 14, completion to Gibbs, produces a 3rd and 8 or creates a 3rd and 8, and then St. Brown with a great catch to get the ball down to the 1. Montgomery scores on the very next play. 16-13 lead, like I said, 12 plays, 68-yard drive, converting 3 third downs, so credit to Jared Goff, credit to the Lions offense. But the crazy thing is that Baker Mayfield takes the Bucs right down the field to take a 2016 lead back. That was a little deflating, I'm sure, as a Lions fan. It was for me watching it because I'm rooting for you guys just as hard as I root for the Ravens every game. Lions reached the Bucs 27, then the 11, and then the 26 in the final 8 minutes. Kind of crazy to think about the fact that you got no points out of either 3. I'm certainly not saying that they should have kicked a field goal with 1 minute left, down 20-16. I got no problem with going for it. It's not even going for it on 4th down, in my opinion. I will say this. I did not like the Lions' play calls on that drive that reached the 11 at all. Well, let me rephrase that. After Gibbs on a 4th and 1 burst through free for a 23-yard gain left sideline, and I thought he was going to score. I don't know about you. That would have been a brilliant moment. It would have been fun to watch. It was a fun play to watch anyway, but it would have been almost cathartic for all of us rooting for the Lions if he were to score there. Unfortunately, he did not. It set them up 1st and 10, and 3 plays in a row. I just feel like they're almost force-feeding Gibbs a little bit. There's 2 runs, then a pass to the left to Gibbs. I think it was a screen. Perhaps it was a screen. Maybe a 3rd and 9. Only gets a yard. And then there's a pass underneath to him on a 4th and 8. I'm not saying that that particular play, that 4th down one, shouldn't go to him, but there seemed to be an inordinate focus on that drive. And maybe I'm mixing up 2 drives here to get Gibbs the ball to the left-hand side, to the boundary twice, in fact, and it didn't work. I think Ben Johnson is going to look at some of those play calls and decide that there was a tactical mistakes or poor decisions there on his part. Nonetheless, Tampa Bay, I thought, tackled really well. The collisioning of receivers. I saw 3 other, besides just Jamison Williams getting collisioned by the linebacker on the first play of the game, I saw 3 other situations where Tampa Bay's defense, collisioned guys underneath. Zion McCollum did it once. One of their safeties spun down like into a nickel position, did it. And it might be a penalty in the NFL. And I get that. But personally, I love it. To me, that's what defenses have to do with routes. Guys that are getting free releases, impede them or at least force them to bow around you in the zone or the area that you're responsible for. Stay physical to the point of straddling the line between it being legal or not. Now, maybe the first play, it's your opinion, and I wouldn't disagree with you, that the linebacker who collisions Jamison Williams isn't straddling that line. He's stomping all over it. Bucs safeties played extremely well. I know they were missing Winfield, but Whitehead, Smith, I think is number 23. They were very aggressive, tackled well in space, aggressive with the wide receivers. I'm clearly going to do a film study video on Hutchinson. Like I said, look at the 7th possession where they converted 3 third downs. But the one that I'm most interested in, and unfortunately the one that's going to take the most amount of work, is Jared Goff. I'll need a few days to develop the film, and what I mean by that is look for patterns. I'm referring to the Bucs game and the Rams game. I'm going to lump those two together. It's clearly noticeable. He's got 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions through 2 games, only 62% completion percentage, and I believe like 6.2 or 6.28, something like that, yards per pass. All of those numbers very low. Do I think that's going to continue over a 17-game season? No. But that's what's happening right now, and so that's what I'll devote my attention to. Probably won't be until a Thursday. That one probably won't be until a Wednesday night, Thursday video, because of so many other things on my list to do for Ravens and Lions content, and then my actual side business that is my real income. So one thing to say about Goff, he didn't take any sacks today, okay? But multiple QB hits, like I said, 10. That's a significant number. The Hutchinson video will be fun and something that I think kind of vindicates the Lions front office for what they did by taking him number 2 and not Kayvon Thibodeau. I find it crazy that fans of teams, Jaguar fans, occasionally, if you don't know, decry or run down their front office for taking Trayvon Walker. There have been some Lions fans, unless non-Lions fans are commenting on my Lions videos, posing as Detroit fans. But in any case, there have been people who I think or presume might be Lions fans get on my videos and say we should have drafted Kayvon Thibodeau and not Aiden Hutchinson. So it's just crazy to me. I think we all do this as sports fans or people at times, complain about what we have. Grass is always greener, I guess, but 4.5 sacks, an amazing performance. Damn near historic. That's got to be the most sacks in Detroit history. Let me know if I have that number, if I have that, statement incorrect. So it's a tough day for me to watch football. I'm sure it was for you too to watch the Lions lose, but I sat through the Ravens. Another 10-point loss, 10-point blown lead in the 4th quarter, nonetheless. And then the Lions lose to a Bucs team. I think both the Ravens and the Lions lost to teams that are below their talent level. But the common denominator is the Bucs and the Raiders both have very tough, very fast defenses that were playing physical. Still something to be said for that, even in this modern day or modern age of football. I do think the Lions' offense appears a little off schedule, out of sync, whatever the word is, you want to use to describe it. I'll accept it. So I'm interested in the coverages that people are playing. Like I said, maybe later on in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, a golf video / coverage analysis of what teams are doing. It's a big game next week. Clearly, to go to Arizona on the road, and then you get the Seahawks in week 4, who've been the Lions' nemesis the last couple of years. That Seahawks team, that Arizona team just destroyed the Rams. I think they put up 40-plus points. Marvin Harrison shredded them. I think he had 2 touchdowns and 130 by mid-second quarter. So there's a real threat there, and it should awaken or alert the Lions players and coaches and fan base as well to the fact that if you play like this 1 week from today, you theoretically could be 1-2. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think that you're closer to 2-0 than after this game than you are to possibly being 1-2 up there against Arizona. Appreciate you guys' time, man. If you enjoyed this non-reaction, delayed reaction, if you will, to the Lions' 20-16 loss, well, I guess no one enjoys it if you're a Lions fan. If you think other Lions fans might want to hear my thoughts on the matter, let's put it that way, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.